I knew that it'd come to this point. I knew that we'd be here once again. I knew that it was inevitable that something like this would happen. Even after the previous part in this long theory that Theorizer has made. So let's just get into it. Without any further ado, the continuation of the Theorizer's Mort theory. But this time, we're starting the logic segments. I am scared, I am terrified, and I am also intrigued about what the Theorizer has found in these past months. Because it's been, I think, 9 months since part 26. That was the last part before the logic segments. I believe that this is going to start the logic segments. Let's just get right into it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Ugh. Yep. Yep. The bane of all of our existence, Mort, the absolute, undisputed vessel of everything and anything. The harbinger of death. The entire purpose of death itself. The one. The almighty Eldritch God. I'm already going insane. And it has not even started.
This has to be a joke, right?
It's not.
All of this ridiculous 10-hour theory.
Yep.
At this point, my whole channel, it's satire, right? The answer is complicated.
No.
Whether
Yeah.
you're new here or with me 8 years, the truth is, I'm not satirical.
That is true. Everything that the Theorizer says, it comes off as satire, but it's not. He is 100% being real. My brain just farted.
I'm not joking, but I'm also not insane. I'm not saying I'm right. That would be stupid.
Yeah.
It would also be stupid to suggest that I'm exactly wrong. I am intentionally skirting the line of absurdity.
You are.
Because I can. I am fully aware of my exaggerated analysis. I include director statements and use the word theory, but that's not to say the creators actually intend what they've done. The whole madness.
And our most recent theory, in our most recent Theorizer reaction was on Edna Mode and how she might have made the supers, and how that also ties into his second Pixar theory, connecting Monsters, Inc. and Incredibles, which, by the way, he said that sometime before the end of the year he's going to get maybe Smitty 2 out, so can't wait for that.
End up spewing. I'm simply delving headfirst into the fiction and the stories and turning over random stones to fill plot holes with what we know.
Yes.
I sound insane because the depth I'm going to is ridiculous.
insane.
Long-time viewers know this. New viewers are about to get a full face of it. At the same time, it's not to say the creators don't intend secrets in their movies. It would just often require so much effort that it makes no sense for them to care or focus on this. So sometimes my evidence reaches when trying to solve mysteries. But it's
I mean, that's always how a theory is, right? I mean, you have to reach a little bit or a lot to make a theory. And it doesn't matter, like, how good the theory is. It's like, theorists always have to make reaches, because not all of it is there, you know? Like, we have a lot with the movies, but not everything is there. There are things that we just don't know, and we still have unanswered questions to. So, of course, we do a little or a lot of reaching around here in the theory parts, you know?
Including everything I spot, good and bad, the internal logic is mostly sound. Not always, but coherence is a top priority. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a character within the world that I'm discussing, taking everything dead seriously. I certainly give off the conspiracy vibe when recording because I'm intermittently psychotic.
Yes.
It's fascinating to me, though, that sometimes creators do intense stuff, like mystery shows, or bored animators will do things, drop neat little things.
Like, for example, Finding Nemo and of course Jesse in Monsters Inc., you know. That's an entirely different rabbit hole that, you know. Pixar's an entirely different rabbit hole. You know, we're not talking about Pixar right now. We're talking about this gigantic rabbit hole that is the DreamWorks movies. And how DreamWorks does the exact same thing that Pixar does.
And I'll tell you that those two, and when they don't keep track of their lore, they accidentally flood massive correlations, plot holes, and narrative similarities within their stories, which I suck dry. So this Mort theory is insane.
Yes,
it has
it is.
standards. Someone has to dive headfirst into these worlds and tear them to pieces. Well,
give me
no, they don't.
the logic.
But someone chooses to, and that person is me. God help any real mystery that faces me. And so what is the probability that DreamWorks actually intended every single one of their properties to be connected in one massive timeline of events centered around
It's low.
the lemur?
Very low.
The probability is slim.
Yeah.
But not so when you consider the reality. This is all a theory on the Netflix show. Here's a little taste for those unaware.
I mean, if we look at All Hail King Julian, because that was what, parts 2 through 4 of his theory way back when, like parts 2 through 4 of him just going through All Hail King Julian. If you look at the show, it does a lot of things that could be seen as the directors and producers being fully aware of what they're doing. Because you don't just let lore like that in a show and just be like, oh, well, we totally forgot to put that in there. We didn't realize that we made all this lore for Mort and say that he's not a lemur. He's like everything. And we also didn't intend for, you know, the sky gods and all that kind of stuff, and the supernatural stuff going on here. Mort's inside his brain, he has multiple copies of Mort, there's a Mortix con, what the fuck? Yeah. Yep.
These creators went to absurd depths as a joke and made it all coherent because they were bored. I am suggesting that these lunatic writers took a bunch of recurring DreamWorks gags and, consciously or not, built it so the gags all got explanations. These patterns continue to this day. For example, DreamWorks finds French villains funny. They made tons of films about animals versus humans.
Way too many.
Thing with magical musical comedy.
Way too many.
Despite Disney, these gags get way too close for comfort in All Hail King Julian, and that is why I'm doing this. Finding every single instance of these gags in the show and in all other DreamWorks properties to make all possibly conceivable connections, and then where we are now, filling all of the plot holes and errors that this monstrous narrative would create.
Let's go logic.
It's so difficult Because there is no way they could have intended all of this.
Yeah.
The parallels we've covered
No
so
way.
far are so unimaginably consistent, it almost seems like they did it subconsciously, took jokes and made lore, but almost didn't realize it. So let's prove that there were no holes, only incomplete explanations.
Okay.
What is Mort theory?
What
The
is it?
ultimate DreamWorks shared universe.
Yeah.
Timeline. Join me in part 28.
Yes.
Part 1 set up everything and looked at
Part
Mort's
28?
from the Madagascar films. Parts 2 to 4 binged all of the spin-off prequel and noted every single Mort fact, much to my shock, because that show was disturbed and the comedy's freakishly self-aware and mature.
Yes.
Part 5 covered the other spin-off shows so I could come to some
And
conclusions about
penguins.
what Mort really is, because the ultimate implication is that I shit you not. Part 6, Mort is the Grim Reaper himself,
Yup.
who was locked in a battle with elder gods, so they fractured him across the multiverse in the Big Bang. He spent eons trying to reabsorb his parts to return to full form and take back reality, which all seems to be his lucid dream. The main Mort lemur we see is the most evolved fragment, but even he had to erase some of his memory to protect his identity. This is
Hang on.
all in the show, and it's f***ing crazy. Once I realized that the Mort narrative has been drawing from all other DreamWorks patterns, I had no choice but to drag in my many theories on other DreamWorks movies, so parts 7 to 14 are all theories on Shrek, which is kind of the origin and core of DreamWorks.
Yeah.
We got a timeline, villain backstories, and determined that talking animals and fairy tale creatures are the central focus of Mort's master plan, all of whom are battling humans for dominant intelligence. In parts 15 and 16, I dragged in Over the Hedge and the humans of Madagascar, granting bombshell number 2. There are human cults out to repel animal intelligence. In part 17, I linked it all back to Mort to finally reveal that all of these cults are the same organization.
Yes.
A massive
Just a little recap.
by the gods that
A quick little
to
recap.
manipulate humanity into devolving animal intelligence. Mort's been spurring animal intelligence so he can de-energize the gods' power by suffocating their ability to be worshipped by the humans they created. This cult includes almost every single DreamWorks villain and is based out of France, powered by music. This should all sound very DreamWorksy, even if you've never considered it. So, parts 18 to 20 were my older Megamind theories, when I bring in the aliens, the wild card, and more humans who suppressed them too, and then parts 21 to 23.
Yes, the best parts.
Godlike, legendary, where I scanned every
Yeah, the best parts.
microscopic detail, every DreamWorks film, to find how every...
And I don't know if I have all of them. I don't know if I have all of these on playlist, but if I do, I will get to putting all these on a playlist. You'll need to watch my reactions to what 21 to 23, because my God, those 3 parts broke me. I had multiple psychotic breaks during each one.
Into a massive storyline, and how the timeline has actually progressed during this war between humans and animals. I even dragged back in my oldest DreamWorks theories, finally dropping a recap and completing the connections with the last part a year ago. We looked at every possible outcome. I think the whole timeline is actually backwards. Both Mort and the gods are evil and power-hungry. The innocents are locked in the middle. The timeline is backwards, so humans are devolving into extinction. Kung Fu Panda's at the end, where Mort is victorious with an animal-only world, ruling over his canon existence once again, having destroyed the gods that he once created as the embodiment of death, most actively comparable to Kronos from Greek mythology, all stated over 26 and a half parts, 8 hours, 3 compilations that function as literal movies, which are now infamous on the internet from thumbnails alone. So you're caught up. You know my intentions. You know my rationale. Here's the holes.
Oh boy. The logic segments, here we go.
Future, or is it past? Is the timeline forwards, or is it backwards? Is Shrek medieval humanity, or is it a sad glimpse at a degrading future? This has plagued me, and I officially...
Yeah, where is Shrek in this?
Both. Some movies seem to imply that they're in the past, like those with medieval or prehistoric or obviously time travel. But others then suddenly display things like the royal family in Hollywood and Shrek, which makes no sense unless it takes place in a very dystopian, degraded future. Kung Fu Panda has only animals in it, but they use Chinese culture that was human,
I mean,
and it's filled with magic and
isn't it like... I think it's a lock that Kung Fu Panda is at the very end of the timeline, right? Because no humans at all. The animals are fully evolved and are talking English, or they're speaking English, they're learning Kung Fu, whatever it is. Yeah.
stuff. What are the morals? What connects Mort to the animals? And
What
who
is
has
it?
degraded the actual Hollywood that's been making his films
Yeah.
into a fairy tale dystopia to fit his narrative? I present the one, the only,
Yeah?
official DreamWorks timeline.
Okay.
Mort appears billions of years ago and
Yeah.
creates the sky gods. After eons of peace, Mort grows tired of their presence and starts eating them. To preserve their existence, the few remaining gods rebel against him and use his own powers to shatter him across reality into trillions.
So that would be the pineapple, right? Because he hates the pineapple. So maybe the pineapple was the main sky god who saw Mort devouring the ones that he created. And so the pineapple was like, hey, so kinda don't want you eating us, you know? So could you please stop? And what Public said? No. Probably lashed out at him, so Pineapple was like, alright, you know what? I did not snap. Can you hear that? I don't know. But they snapped, and they shattered Mort across time and space.
Of separate pocket universes. He spent
They're just shattering him.
billions of years trying to fuse himself back together through the fabric of space-time, while the gods take over the multiverse and focus in on one particular galaxy where they create animals.
Okay, so the Big Bang happens in this
The humans
one.
start to evolve and worship the gods, while Mort
Alright.
infiltrates the minds of all other animals to counteract this. In
The movie's
another world,
happening.
Taking back control, two enormous fragments battle for supremacy.
During
Smart
King Julian.
and Morticus Khan.
Mhm.
Smart Mort loses, receding into a mouse lean to recover by birthing himself into a
Again, this is all during the All Hail King Julian thing, but I think it also happens during the movies
doing similar.
in the background.
He wipes his memory and his intelligence, redistributing it to all of the animals of the world, so they can take down the humans whose existence is dedicated to worshipping the gods and powering them up with the creative energy of music, comedy, and anything generative, in contrast to Mort's destruction.
Okay.
The gods take serious action and assimilate the France-established exterminator Terminators
Yeah.
to wage war on
The
mankind.
feet.
This is now when most of the DreamWorks movies happen,
Mhm.
the present day.
He misses his
Mort's
animals.
power is growing, and the animals evolve further, slowly defeating the humans who are regressing.
Yeah, I was gonna
into
say,
their
that's
forms before
Probably Madagascar, Monsters vs. Aliens, all of the ones that have both humans and animals, like, coinciding with them. Like, all the movies have humans and animals. Like, probably Home, you know? Home probably fits in there somewhere. I don't know where, but Home probably does.
one particularly stupid human becomes leader of the world and triggers a nuclear catastrophe while trying to order a coffee. Aliens take
That
this as
is-
their opportunity to descend upon the annihilated world, and the animals
Monsters
take over
vs.
the land
Aliens.
landscape while humans mutate
And then maybe the second movie.
monsters and fairy tale creatures in Mort's vision. Given a few centuries, humans completely
And then-
die off, suffocating the gods' power.
And then Kung Fu
allowing
Panda.
animals to obliterate them to take over the universe and achieve spiritual transcendence in Kung Fu Panda. With every universe
final.
merging back into the one, Mort soon becomes a whole entity once again. And then
So what's Mort in Kung Fu Panda 2?
of days, the raw, absolute apocalypse occurs, destroying every spirit,
Okay.
every animal.
What movie
Every
happens
core of
there?
Existence flays away into a singularity hellscape as Mort wakes up from the whole thing, and DreamWorks ceases to exist.
Ah.
That is the story, but it's not the whole story. We have to plot all of the films. We have
Okay.
to plot all the characters, the details, and make it real.
We
can
have
only
to make it
imagine
make
the
sense.
revelations yet to come from this. Right. The battle plan. Given that this is bigger than my original Pixar dissertation,
It
for
is.
example, we will need many more graphics to organize this logic. Timeline, of course, but also an alignment tree, a massive pool of characters overlapping with their respective properties, a global map, an intergalactic map, an extremely detailed web of evidence from the connection segments threading across everything, all of the evidence and counter-evidence from All Hail King Julian that you submit under this
God.
and 100,000 milligrams of antipsychotics. The list of shit to work with.
This is gonna become like 100 parts at this point.
Their intent, the canon is the canon, and we're classifying what we can.
Because we're going over literally everything.
And in lieu of my late abstination from the Julian Netflix show, I will allow the inclusion of every single DreamWorks property.
Oh boy.
By priority, we have this. All Hail King Julian is the prioritize this 100% of the
Go back
This
through.
is the raw theory. This is critical. Maybe I'll work through some of it again. Second tier priority is the
Madagascar's everything.
Content, both series and film. Third tier priority is every single DreamWorks main film, as in the 3D animated canon. Here are the current list. When needed, absolutely place the original content over the adapted content at your discretion. There is overlap. Fourth tier priority is every
So for original content or for adapted content, you put the original version of Shrek over the CGI version of Shrek and all the bugs and stuff over the actual movies.
other bonus DreamWorks spin-off show, and all of the 2D or claymation films they have been developing. This is the ordered set.
This is going to be interesting because how does Flushed Away play into this? Because now I'm trying to figure out, because there's no humans in that, it's all animals. But it's animals living in the sewer system. That can... Wait. Did the animals in Flushed Away mutate? Did they mutate? Because if they mutated, then that would be part of... I don't know. It, like he said, it's a very low priority film. So...
Be mindful. We have the base, we have the extension, we have the lore of DreamWorks. But even though today is just the first logic segment where I'm explaining myself and building, I can still tentatively plot the top tiers of the films. And some Madagascar, Over the Hedge, the B-movie Monsters vs. Aliens, Megamind, Rise of the Guardians, Turbo the Boss Baby, Captain Underpants, and I think that new Orion movie are all taking place, like, now. Let's say
the human films.
2000 on average. Give or take a bunch. The bad guys, Mr. Peabody and Sherman's present, and presumably Ruby Gillman, take place shortly into the acceptance of animal intelligence, where humans are slowly submitting. This is when I think the nukes go off. Next up then is Shark Tale, Shrek, and Home, all of which take place well into the de-evolution of humanity. Probably starting with Home. Kung Fu Panda is far at the end. Again, I can get specific later, but there is a
we don't see humans in Shark Tale, so...
How to Train Your Dragon, Cruise, and Trolls. How to Train Your Dragon could tell the story of dragons devolving and spurring animal anger before humans rose up. Or it could be dragons rising after humans start going down. Hierarchy. Training is in the title. Cruise is very suspect because it centers around cave people. Smart humans at the same time, like it's teasing us. Trolls seems to be, without exaggeration, a self-proclaimed musical magic-filled world, so for now I'm going to assume it's what happened to America while China got the Kung Fu Panda treatment. I should note, I still haven't watched many of these. I'm a godforsaken lunatic at this point. Comment your opinion on Cruise and Dragons placements as well as spin-offs and on 3D animation. Our pool of footmen subgroups are Dubois and the Dwayne Academy, the Alien Anomalies, Rumpelstiltskin and his gang of Shrekkers, Alice in the Central Park Zoo, the Boss Baby Crew in the Literal Skies, and last but not least, President Hathaway with the General, Warden, Metro Mayor, and Montgomery Esquire heading the U.S. government. And do,
Okay.
of course, again, drop your questions below. Make massive lists of the unanswered. I will assimilate them to the best of my ability. This is the most important method we have of logically flattening this out. List every single question. Like,
Okay.
is Uruguay Verne? What is Dubois' family tree? I need linchpins.
All
And
questions
more on
that
logic
we need
now,
to know.
but still I'm finding connections. Like, I recently concluded Dubois is becoming an animal. Jack Horner is a 12-year-old. He's also Butterpants mutated. Frank Rella literally translates to French paradise, aka heaven. Death's whistle is the anti-music. The aliens in home are controlled by music. Donkey and Dragon were made for each other by the fairy godmother.
Yes.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
I found him.
Oh.
I found him.
Oh.
We've been looking for eons.
Yeah.
Found the original Mort. The
Oh.
whole Mort.
What?
The true entity. This demonic force of amoral destruction. I got him. The gods are represented by fruit.
Yeah.
And Mort would be no exception. Mort's true, completed self is shown expressly in the show.
No.
Breakdown realizing this
No.
because I returned to the show.
No.
Literally, one episode. One.
Don't tell me what you think you're going to tell me. Don't tell me what I think you're going to tell me. Don't.
Everything I've been saying came full circle.
Don't.
Isn't
Don't say
that
it.
simply insane? Julian and the gang have a beach where I guess the Sky Gods send them tons of supplies from the mainland.
Okay.
In this season 5 episode,
Yeah.
a bunch of nuclear fertilizer washes ashore. And the show jarringly lists its ingredients. They try to use it on their agriculture. And it starts
Okay.
raining mangoes from the sky. How godly. Later, though, they all coalesce and melt themselves back together
Yeah.
into one giant, extremely creepy, bloodthirsty, godlike, soft-spoken, super genius mango that tries
That's more.
not devouring everyone's souls.
That's more.
It then makes a beeline for the mainland to destroy humanity, while
Oh, that
Julian
is-
claims they'll be the only intelligent life left.
Yeah, that's
They
some
managed to
more.
get a hold of Sunshine Farms, the organization that made the fertilizer they found. And it seems to be a fleet asset, note the Sunshine, and not seconds later, they nuke it in the center of the ocean, and the episode ends with a horrific "the end?" question mark. Well, there was no follow-up episode. All the other teases got follow-ups.
Oh.
This one didn't, because this is it, the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
Laid bare. How I haven't remembered this until now, I don't know. How I watched one episode of the show again and got all the answers, I don't know. But I do know this. The show's aware of what it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And that is terrifying beyond measure. This is Mort. This
Yep.
is the destiny of DreamWorks.
Mhm.
And it fates the end of the timeline.
Mort's going to eat them all.
Strange that there aren't other nuclear bombs going off when this fertilizer gets used, only when it happens in Madagascar. I wonder why.
Oh.
Oh. People, it's because Mort barfed into the supply!
Huh?
This was him! Any episode I watch confirms this further.
Wait,
There is
what?
not even one instance where my theories on this show are debunked, but rather excessively, painfully, they are traumatically proven beyond a shadow of a
What?
doubt. And every time I watch another episode, it all becomes more real. This is why I've abstained from it. I am doomed. We are doomed.
We are.
I have to return to it. Of course, join my Patreon to spur this faster and subscribe, because this was the setup for the next dozen logic segments. It's
Mhm.
going to get really big, really quick. But we have a full
We do.
picture of what we're working with,
Mhm.
and it's beyond anything, any story.
We have a full idea of what's happening here. And with that being said, I will see all of you in the next video, which will probably be part 12 of Salvation Remake that I'm going to upload today. Maybe part 13 as well. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. But I'll see all of you in the next video. Later.